All right, let's jump right in. We're heading back, way back, 94 million years ago, to witness a showdown between two of the most terrifying predators to ever live. But here's the thing. This story of a colossal rivalry? It has a massive twist. Turns out, the real enemy wasn't the one with teeth and claws. It was something much, much bigger.
So in one corner, you've got Spinosaurus. This thing was huge, more than 3 meters longer than its rival, just pure immense size and power. And in the other corner, Carcharodontosaurus, a total brawler, and its greatest weapon was this absolutely lethal bite. I mean, we're talking about two titans, perfectly matched for a fight to the death.
And trust me, they absolutely fought. This wasn't some chance encounter in the wild. These two massive predators were literally locked in the same territory, forced into a constant, brutal competition just to survive in this ancient land of giants.
Yeah, and don't picture this as some rare, epic battle that happened once. No way. This was their daily life, a constant grind. They were always fighting over food, especially over carcasses, and every single one of those fights came with a huge risk of getting seriously hurt or even killed. The fossil record paints a picture of this really shaky balance of power between them.
And this really shows you what was at stake. You know, it's not just something that happened millions of years ago. We see it today. Think about modern Komodo dragons. They often get killed by other Komodo dragons in fights over food. So for Spinosaurus and Carcharodontosaurus, you have to imagine that every single meal could have been their last.
So you might be asking, how do we actually know they fought? Well, this isn't just a cool theory. The evidence is literally written in their bones. Let's dig into that evidence and see the scars this war left behind.
The key piece of evidence, the absolute smoking gun for this whole conflict, it all comes down to a discovery made back in 2008. That single year gave us the most dramatic proof we have of this ancient duel.
What did they find? Paleontologists dug up a very specific bone, a vertebra from the back of a Spinosaurus. And not just any vertebra. It was part of that tall spine that makes up its famous iconic sail.
But as soon as they started examining it, they realized something was off, very wrong. This wasn't damage from being buried for millions of years or from the elements. Nope, this was a clear sign of some kind of extreme violence. A piece of that tall spine, it was just snapped off. In fact, it looked like it had been bitten almost clean in half. Can you even imagine the kind of power it would take to do that to a bone on an animal that massive?
So the question is, who could deliver a bite that devastating? Well, all the clues point to one suspect, its main rival in that ecosystem. The prevailing theory is that this was the work of a Carcharodontosaurus, a permanent scar left over from their constant battles.
Okay, so while these two giants are locked in this life-or-death struggle, something else is happening. A much bigger threat was on the horizon. The real enemy, it turns out, wasn't another dinosaur. It was the entire world changing around them.
Right around 94 million years ago, things started to happen that were completely out of their control. The entire planet's climate began to shift, and that caused a huge rise in sea levels. The very ground they walked on was changing. Their world of swamps and rivers slowly being swallowed up by the sea. And for one of these titans, this massive change created a fight it just couldn't win. This is where we see how a specialist's greatest strength can actually become its biggest weakness.
So it's really important we understand what a specialist predator is. Think of Spinosaurus. It was the absolute king of its little world, right? Perfectly adapted to one specific environment, hunting one specific type of prey. It was the master of the rivers, the greatest fish hunter of its time. But that incredible specialization, the very thing that made it so successful, was about to become its greatest vulnerability.
Okay, so let's break this down. Spinosaurus. It was the last and biggest of the fish-eating dinos. It loved swamps and rivers. But when the sea levels rose and destroyed those habitats, its food disappeared. Just like that. And this huge specialized predator, it just couldn't adapt fast enough. The world simply changed, and it got left behind.
So, in the end, it wasn't Carcharodontosaurus that took it down, it was change itself. And just like that, the biggest predator to ever walk the earth disappeared forever.
And that leaves us with a really fascinating question, one that goes way beyond dinosaurs, right? When the world around you starts to change, is it better to be the biggest and the strongest? Or is the real key to survival being the most adaptable?